My son instructed me to rest in the garage 2 months following the funeral of his mom. Shift your belongings out there, old guy, Ethan said, positioned in the entrance of the room where I'd clutched Margaret's hand during 18 months of chemo sessions, where I'd seen her draw her final breath on January 18th. Sophie requires storage for her clothes, he went on, pointing toward his partner, who was already examining Margaret's accessories. Plus, you're accustomed to dozing on sofas regardless. He had a point. I'd endured 733 evenings on clinic seats and waiting area couches. Resigned from my position at Central Regional Bank to care for her around the clock. Depleted our whole nest egg on therapies that failed. I gazed at my son briefly. Fascinating, I murmured softly. What Ethan failed to grasp was that his mom and I had anticipated this precise scenario. Kindly tap the subscribe icon. You won't regret seeing the conclusion of this tale. The following day, I observed Ethan and Sophie convert my spouse's sleeping quarters into their private retreat. They began precisely at 8 a.m. Ethan had skipped work at Elite Investments, citing family matters. Sophie showed up with 3 luggage pieces and an assortment of luxury purses. I guessed they're worth at about $8,000. Where should I stash this outdated junk? Sophie inquired, lifting Margaret's spectacles, the pair she donned nightly for 26 years as we shared books in bed. Trash bin. Ethan replied without glancing from his computer. Much of this clutter lacks worth. 131, anyway. I lingered in the corridor, discreetly snapping photos with my device. The accessory container Sophie was rummaging in held Margaret's betrothal band, a 2-carat gem I'd scrimped for 3 months to purchase in 1981. Last year's valuation pegged it at $3,200. Ethan spotted me observing. Father, come on, we require some seclusion here. Naturally, I responded, I'll simply collect my possessions. My possessions. 43 years of wedded life condensed into 2 cartons and a trash sack. Margaret's care bed remained in the family room. The equipment firm planned to retrieve it soon. Ethan had shoved it aside to accommodate his video game station. You can keep your items in the garage, Sophie suggested obligingly. Ample room exists back there. She was correct. The garage stood vacant since I'd liquidated my Toyota Camry to fund Margaret's ultimate therapy cycle. $18,000 to Dr. Adrian Wolfe at the cancer clinic. Funds that granted us 6 additional weeks as a pair. While hauling my boxes outdoors, I saw Mrs. Whitaker peering from her cooking area window nearby. Eleanor Whitaker, aged 73, had delivered stews each Tuesday amid Margaret's sickness. She'd witnessed me assisting Margaret into that Toyota for each consultation, every urgent care trip, every dashed expectation. She lifted her palm in a subtle greeting. I acknowledged with a nod. Ethan shouted from indoors. Dad, hurry it up. Sophie's awaiting a shipment. The shipment proved to be fresh sleeping chamber furnishings. A massive bed structure, $800 per the bill I spotted. Coordinating cabinet ensemble, another $600, all billed to Ethan's plastic, the one I'd endorsed when he was 22 and ineligible alone. This padding is far superior to that relic, Sophie remarked, springing on the new setup. How did you tolerate something so archaic? That archaic padding was where Margaret and I marked every milestone. Where we'd cradled Ethan as an infant, where I'd fed her remedies when she lacked strength to rise. The previous one carried emotional significance, I whispered. Ethan chuckled. Emotional significance won't ease your spine, Dad. Believe me, this is progress. By dusk, my private items were positioned in a garage nook beside my tool bench. Margaret's sewing materials, which she'd left incomplete, my assortment of thriller books, the picture collections Sophie had judged too gloomy for indoors. Ethan located me there near 7 p.m., perched on a collapsible seat by a warming unit. Listen, I realize this is a shift, he stated, but Soph and I are mapping our tomorrow. We must consider sensibly. Sensible, I echoed. Precisely. You're 59, Dad. Many solid years remain. Perhaps this is your opportunity to minimize. Locate a cozy flat someplace. I examined him intently. This is my residence, Ethan. He dismissed it. Formally, sure, but faced the facts of the matter. I'm the earner now. I'm who can upkeep this spot. I understand. Moreover, Ethan added, after all, with Mom's health costs, I assumed you'd prefer to streamline. Cut your expenses. Expenses? He discussed 43 years of recollections as if they were corporate deductions. The health costs totaled $340,000, I noted. I possess the invoices sorted by month if you wish to review. Ethan fidgeted awkwardly. Yeah. That's what I imply. You can't sustain this location. What Ethan was unaware of was that I'd chronicled all since his mom's prognosis. Each compromise, each monetary choice, each dialogue. The audio program on my device had seized the prior 10 minutes of our exchange. I comprehend your viewpoint, I stated. Excellent. I feared you'd complicate this. Ethan returned to the home, then halted. Oh, and Dad. Sophie's hosting pals tomorrow evening. Perhaps remain out here till they depart. They're uneasy with the entire morning scenario. The morning scenario? His mom had passed 56 days prior. Certainly, I replied as Ethan departed. I accessed the steel cabinet I'd relocated from indoors. 14 dossiers of health invoices arranged by date. Coverage rejections, installment schemes, refinance papers, and at the rear, a beige packet labeled legal papers, SJ. Yet I possessed something Ethan hadn't viewed. Something his mom had demanded we arrange in her closing days. Mrs. Whitaker's entry light switched on adjacent. She likely pondered why I sat in a garage at 8 o'clock on a Tuesday evening. Shortly, all would comprehend. The supper gathering occurred Friday evening. Sophie had welcomed 6 colleagues from her promotion role at Sunshine Media. I heard their chuckles via the garage barrier as I sorted Margaret's health dossiers. Near 8:30, Ethan swung open the garage entrance. Dad, mind assisting with serving? Sophie's swamped inside. I glanced from the dossier tagged Cancer Costs January 2024. In the last month, $47,000 for ineffective procedures. Surely, I affirmed indoors, Sophie's companions lounged about our lounge. The care bed had vanished. Ethan had organized collection at last, but carpet dents lingered where it rested for 18 months. Folks, meet Henry, Sophie declared. Ethan's father. A lady called Lily Carter hoisted her vino goblet. Sophie shared your circumstances. Deep condolences for your bereavement. Appreciated, I responded. It must feel good having assistants around the home, another pal commented. Like a resident fixer-upper. Ethan smirked. Dad's quite handy, truly. Excels at upkeep tasks. I dished their meal. Salmon cuts I'd cooked via Margaret's method. $68 in seafood from my food allowance. While decanting vino, I tuned into their chat. So, Ethan, renovation timeline? Lily inquired. This spot brims with possibilities. Aiming for next spring, Ethan replied. Demolish the barrier between cooking and eating areas, refresh the washrooms, render it contemporary. Sophie bent ahead eagerly. We aim to revamp the atmosphere entirely. It's terribly obsolete currently. Obsolete. Margaret had devoted 3 years to our prior update, selecting hues from her clinic bed. The primary chamber shines now, Sophie proceeded. We discarded all that antiquated gear and began anew. Wise decision, noted a guy named Daniel Reed. Occasionally you must sever links to history to advance. Ethan agreed. Spot on. My dad struggled with that idea. I was topping water vessels when Ethan's device chimed. His superior from Elite Investments. Need to grab this, Ethan stated, moving to the kitchen. I persisted in serving, gliding silently about the board. Sophie's pals barely registered my presence. Odd having him nearby. Lily murmured to Sophie. I mean, post everything somewhat, Sophie hissed in return. Ethan mentions his dad hasn't progressed from caregiving. As if he can't grasp regular existence anymore. How tragic. Another companion remarked, certain folks simply stall, you see. I placed the vino container gingerly and withdrew to the garage. My device captured all via the program I'd added 3 weeks back. 47 minutes of sound thus far, tracing to Ethan's first garage remark. 20 minutes on, Ethan discovered me outdoors. Apologies for that job summon, he said. Office emergency. Fine. Hey, Dad, I've pondered. Time for a grave talk on your tomorrow. I settled on my collapsible seat. Attentive. Sophie and I discussed, and we believe you'd thrive in a tinier spot. A retirement village, perhaps with peers your era. I'm 59, Ethan. Correct. But you've endured much. Tending mom, job loss, money strain. Maybe a new beginning suits you. Behind him, Sophie's pals visible via the cooking window. They giggled over something on a device. Fact is, Ethan persisted, this home costs plenty to sustain. Taxes, bills, fixes. With my pay, I could manage. But honestly, you couldn't. Understood. Frankly, your banking role vanished. Your wellness falters. I've noticed you on mom's Air device nights. And mentally, Dad, you're trapped. Dwelling in yesteryear. I regarded my son. Truly regarded him. The lad I'd guided on biking in this drive. The youth I'd transported to university in that Toyota Camry. The adult I'd backed loans for, aided with lease bonds, rescued from money woes thrice. Ethan, I murmured, recall my career. He appeared puzzled. Bank supervisor, unit head at Central Regional. Managed home loans, credit sanctions, inheritance advice. I halted. I grasped finance mechanics. All right. But that preceded my 3 years overseeing your mom's treatment. Yes. Preceded coordinating 17 specialists, contesting coverage denials, arranging settlements for $340,000 in care outlays. Ethan squirmed uneasily. Dad, aware you tried hard, but I comprehend asset rules too, succession norms, testaments and asset shifts. A glint of doubt crossed Ethan's face. Meaning what? From indoors, Sophie summoned Ethan. Her guests prepared to exit. This exchange proved enlightening, I stated. Grateful for your candor on intentions. Ethan eyed me momentarily, then retreated indoors. Via the pane, I saw him resume the festivity, smoothly reverting to entertainer. I retrieved my device and halted the capture. 47 minutes grew to 63. Each phrase seized in pristine sound. Next dawn, I placed a call Ethan wouldn't erase. Saturday dawn, I uncovered Ethan vending Margaret's gems online via eBay. Spotted the posts checking mail on the cooking PC. Ethan forgot to close his session, logged in. 13 pieces uploaded overnight. Antique 14K gold nuptial duo. $1,800 negotiable. The betrothal piece I'd hoarded 3 months for. The union ring we'd picked at Harrison's Gems on Main Avenue. Valued professionally last year at $4,200. I browsed further entries. Margaret's pearl strand from our decade mark. Her grandma's gem pin, the blue stone studs I'd presented for our silver jubilee. Aggregate appraised worth, $12,400. Ethan's quotes, $6,800. I outputted screen captures. Each post, each lowball figure, each offhand summary shrinking 43 years of affection to clearance goods. Ethan strolled into the kitchen circa 9 o'clock, pajamas intact. Greeting, Dad. Rest well out there? Adequately, thanks. He dispensed Java into Margaret's cherished cup, the azure pottery etched world's top mom. Sophie had seized it yesterday with much of Margaret's cookware. Ethan, I uttered cautiously. Spotted eBay actions. He stiffened, Java mid-sip. Yep, Mom's items idled. Felt inefficient. Betrothal ring at $1,800. Yep. Solid rate for the scene. I extracted the coverage valuation from my dossier. Expert assessment hit $4,200. Ethan lowered the cup. Dad, can't linger in history eternally. These hold heartfelt worth for you, but logically, mere ornaments unworn. Your mom sported that band daily for 43 years. Frankly, it's dated. Sophie inspected it. She noted, the mount is utterly passé. A chill gripped my core. Not fury, something sharper. Understood. See, this challenges, but realism on funds needed. Health debts drained you. Aiming to reclaim some here. Ethan unveiled his portable and displayed eBay panel. Already 3 offers on the pearl chain. Folks value retro bits. 3 offers. Margaret's ancestral pearls, 3 eras down, demoted to retro stock. Burial 8 weeks back. Ethan, aware. But sorrow skips payments, Dad. Spot on about payments. Home refinance for therapy funds. Card balances from extra coverage. Kin loan from my sibling spouse I'd never settle. But Ethan missed some. You're spot on. I concurred. Deceased folk skip gems. Ethan seemed startled by my accord. Precisely. I amassed the eBay captures and aimed for the garage. I'll permit your management as deemed fit. Appreciate it, Dad. Aware it's tough, but sensible pick. In the garage, I unlocked the cabinet and withdrew the beige packet tagged legal papers, SJ. Within, duplicates of documents Margaret and I readied in her end month. Asset title shift dated October 15, 2023. Margaret's mark attested by our lawyer Rachel Porter and Dr. Adrian Wolfe from Cancer Care. Margaret's final testament dated October 18, 2023, 3 days pre her signing incapacity, and the note she demanded to pen personally detailing her choices. I perched on my collapsible seat and revisited her note once more, her phrases in azure pen, unsteady from the treatments, yet fully readable. If Ethan displays disdain toward Henry following my passing, if he attempts to push Henry out of our residence, if he regards Henry's devotion with scorn, then he's shown he fails to grasp the worth of affection above wealth. In such an instance, I desire our home to benefit those who comprehend devotion, the households at St. Jude Children's Hospital. Margaret had been precise regarding the stipulations, explicit about her hopes. Ethan was offloading her accessories for fast funds while insisting I rest in the garage. I retrieved my device and contacted Attorney Porter's line. Rachel, this is Henry Collins. I believe it's the moment to implement Margaret's directives. Via the cooking area pane, I spotted Ethan on his portable, likely overseeing his eBay sales. Sophie was next to him, indicating something on the display and chuckling. They remained clueless about the impending shift. The subsequent dawn, I reached a choice that would alter all. Monday dawn at 10:15 a.m., I delivered Ethan his removal order. He was engaged in a virtual meeting with patrons from Elite Investments, reviewing asset oversight tactics. I viewed him through the cooking window, positioned at our meal table in his sharp ivory blouse and neckwear, appearing the epitome of a thriving young expert. I rapped on the entry frame and displayed the official papers. Ethan silenced his audio. Dad, I'm occupied in a session. This requires merely an instant. I presented him the formal alert. 30 days to depart the property per Iowa state regulations. Attorney Porter had assembled all in line with legal standards. Ethan skimmed the forms, then regarded me with that identical arrogant look from Friday Eve. Is this for real? Utterly sincere. He reactivated his audio. Apologies, team. Kin crisis. Might we postpone to later today? Post concluding the discussion, Ethan rose and brandished the forms at me. Dad, you lack the power to oust me from my own abode. In fact, I possess it. This is absurd. I'm your offspring. That's accurate. Ethan snickered. Not a warm tone. You aware I earn $67,000 annually, correct? You aware I can secure counsel? I'm banking on it. Sophie emerged from the chamber enveloped in Margaret's former robe. What's the commotion? My father believes he can expel me, Ethan stated, displaying her the removal alert. Sophie perused the files. Henry, this seems rather severe, no? Ethan's merely attempting to aid with the monetary plight. I grasp his stance. Additionally, Ethan appended, where precisely do you imagine I'll obtain initial month's lease, final months, and a deposit? You realize, I lack that sort of funds idle. He was accurate. Ethan survived from salary to salary despite his solid income, vehicle installments on his Tesla Model Y, education debts from his commerce credential, plastics he'd exhausted equipping his prior flat. That appears a private fiscal matter, I remarked. Ethan's assured demeanor wavered briefly. Dad, face reality. You can't uphold this residence solo. You lack earnings. You lack reserves. This removal ploy is merely, he motioned ambiguously. It's merely sorrow rendering you illogical. Maybe. See, I'll propose a pact. Abandon this removal folly and I'll assist in locating a pleasant elder flat, something budget-friendly. We could tour some spots jointly. Sophie affirmed eagerly. Numerous fine supported living spots exist nearby with folks your generation. I'm 59, correct? Yet post all you've endured, Ethan's tone grew condescending. Dad, tending mom shattered something within you. You're not reasoning lucidly. I observed my son, 29 years, graduate degree in enterprise management, 5 years in fiscal strategy. Ethan, I whispered, what do you comprehend about asset possession rules? Sufficient. What do you grasp about succession methods? Dad, what's your aim here? What do you know of your mom's testament? Something altered in Ethan's demeanor. A spark of doubt. Mom lacked a testament. She departed too swiftly for such formalities. Sophie clasped his palm encouragingly. It's fine, dear. Your father's simply handling sorrow his way. I creased the duplicate of the removal alert and stowed it in my pouch. You possess 30 days, Ethan. I recommend initiating a hunt for other lodging. This is madness, Ethan declared. I'm contacting counsel. That's your prerogative. As I proceeded to the garage, I overheard Ethan on the line with somebody, his pitch escalating. Lucas, it's Ethan Collins. I require legal guidance on a removal alert. 30 days. Ethan's counsel was poised to receive the jolt of his profession. Ethan's attorney rang me Tuesday midday while I arranged Margaret's health dossiers in the garage. Mr. Collins, this is Lucas Grant from Grant & Partners. I advocate for your son Ethan concerning the removal alert you issued. Yes, sir. I must be direct with you. This removal seems punitive in essence. Grown offspring hold specific privileges when residing in their kin home, particularly when contributing to domestic costs. I placed the dossier labeled treatment costs December 2023. $43,000 for Margaret's ultimate treatment month. Has Ethan contributed to domestic costs? I queried. A lull. Well, he's noted he's assisted with repairs and maintenance. I comprehend. What exact costs has he recorded? Another lull. Mr. Collins, the essence is that ousting your son seems spiteful. Honestly, it implies senior mistreatment from you. Senior mistreatment. Curious phrasing. Mr. Grant, are you versed in Iowa asset regulations? Naturally. Are you versed in succession methods? Mr. Collins, I fail to see the pertinence. Your son has resided in the kin home. He set up domicile. You can't merely eject him due to emotional struggles with your spouse's demise. I accessed my cabinet and extracted the beige packet. Mr. Grant, I suggest you inspect the asset possession files prior to any legal moves. What are you implying? I'm implying you should verify who truly owns this residence. Quiet on the line. Mr. Collins, are you indicating I'm indicating perform your homework before menacing me with senior mistreatment accusations? Post disconnecting, I heard Ethan striding in the kitchen, conversing swiftly on his device. Lucas, what do you imply probe the possession? It's my kin's residence. My dad acquired it in 1986. I grinned and persisted sorting health invoices. 60 minutes later, Ethan stormed into the garage. Dad, what on earth did you tell my counsel? I recommended he probe asset possession. What's that intended to signify? It signifies precisely as it appears. Ethan's cheeks were reddened. Behind him, Sophie lingered in the entry, appearing anxious. Dad, no space for riddles. Lucas mentions possible mix-up on the resident's possession. No mix-up from me. Then clarify it. I extracted the duplicated title shift dated October 15, 2023. Your mom and I shifted the property to her name in her closing month. Ethan seized the file. Why execute that? Inheritance strategy, levy reasons, safeguarding assets amid health insolvency, which held partial truth. We'd worried about asset safeguarding. Ethan examined the documents. Fine, so the residence was under mom's name. She's gone now. That implies it transfers to her nearest kin. Not automatically. What do you imply not automatically? Sophie advanced. Henry, Ethan's her offspring. He's the default successor. Solely if she passed Sand's testament. Ethan grew utterly motionless. Mom lacked a testament. You positive? Dad, she was overly ill. She departed too rapidly. No opportunity for formalities. I extracted the next file. Margaret's final will and testament dated October 18, 2023. Ethan's palms trembled as he scanned it. This can't hold water. She was on analgesics. She wasn't lucid. Dr. Adrian Wolfe verified her cognitive ability. On October 17, Attorney Porter observed the endorsement. All duly authenticated. Sophie scanned over Ethan's arm. Hold on, what does this signify? Property to be gifted to St. Jude Children's Hospital. It signifies, I whispered, that your mom bequeathed the home to philanthropy. Ethan's complexion blanched. That's unfeasible. She was explicit on her rationale. Care to peruse her note? I offered him Margaret's scripted message. Ethan perused it doubly, his look morphing from bewilderment to skepticism to nearing alarm. She can't execute this. I'm her offspring. She could and she did. But why? I regarded Ethan for an extended instant. She detailed her rationale in the message. Ethan perused it anew. If Ethan displays disdain to Henry post my demise, if he regards Henry's devotion with scorn, he gazed up at me. This concerns the garage matter, amid others. Dad, I was merely being sensible on space. You directed me to rest in the garage 2 months post interring your mom. That's not I didn't intend it that way. Sophie was perusing the message now, her face ashen. Ethan, this states the gift is provisional on your conduct. What does that imply? I extracted the counsel's clarification note. It implies if you exhibited proper regard and appreciation for my tending devotion, the residence would stay with kin. If you showed scorn and privilege, it would transfer to philanthropy. And vending mom's accessories, Sophie queried softly. That was noted explicitly in your mom's directives to Attorney Porter. Ethan collapsed into my collapsible seat. So what's next? Now you hold 28 days to secure other lodging, but I lack funds for deposits and lease. That appears a private fiscal matter. Ethan regarded me with something unseen before. Dread. Dad, please. Regret the garage remark. Regret the accessories. I was merely aiding finances. I comprehend. So, we can mend this, correct? We can arrange something. Ethan's counsel was poised to receive the jolt of his profession. And Ethan was poised to discover some choices can't be reversed. Wednesday dawn, Ethan devoted 4 hours at the Collins County Courthouse probing asset logs. I knew since Mrs. Whitaker spotted him depart at 8 a.m. with a satchel and frantic look. He didn't reappear till midday. Upon return, he appeared as if he'd encountered a specter. Dad, we must converse. I was perched in the garage perusing one of Margaret's thriller tomes. She'd never concluded the saga. Illness had robbed that too. Attentive. Ethan dragged Sophie's luxury chair, the one they'd shifted from the chamber. His palms quivered mildly. I visited the courthouse. I verified the logs. And the asset shift is genuine. October 15th, as you stated. I informed you so. But, Dad, I also verified Mom's testament submission. It's lodged with the inheritance court since November. I marked my spot in the tome and regarded him. November 15th, precisely, Ethan proceeded. 3 weeks post-burial. Yes, you've been aware for 4 months. Yes. Ethan's tone fractured mildly. You've observed me, awaiting my blunder. Your mom observed, Ethan. Via me, he extracted a dossier of duplicated files. I also probed the provisional terms. This form of provisional succession, it's valid, but uncommon. Attorney Porter excels in intricate inheritance strategy. The stipulations are highly precise. Shown regard for remaining partners' devotion and tending. Suitable appreciation for monetary aid given. Acknowledgement of parental inputs to recipient achievement. Ethan gazed up at me. Mom penned this as if she foresaw my actions precisely. She understood you deeper than you did. But I failed to grasp. Why lay a snare? Why not simply discuss with me? I shut Margaret's tome gingerly. Ethan, how much funds do you believe I expended on your schooling? Unaware. University was costly. $87,400. Public fees, texts, residence costs for 4 years, plus the graduate scheme. Ethan remained silent. How much do you believe your mom and I expended aiding your setup post-graduation? Initial flat bonds, vehicle initial payment, career attire, education repayments when jobless for half a year. Dad, I don't. $31,200. I hold proofs for all. Fine, but that's parental duty. And how much do you believe your mom and I expended on health costs attempting to preserve her existence? Ethan's tone was scarcely audible. You mentioned $340,000. $342,867 precise amount. I retrieved my calculator and displayed the figures. Aggregate outlay in your tomorrow, $118,600. Aggregate outlay in attempting to save your mom, $342,867. Ethan fixated on the digits. Your mom outlaid nearly thrice more funds trying to endure for you than we outlaid nurturing you. And upon her passing, you directed me to rest in the garage. Dad, I didn't consider. No, you didn't consider. You perceived a chance to enhance your residence setup, and you seized it sans pondering what I'd devoted. Sans pondering what she'd endured. Ethan wept now. Regretful. Your mom drafted that testament in October since she perceived your evolving self. She wished you'd disprove her. But I can transform. I can improve. I retrieved Margaret's tome anew. Ethan, aware what your mom's preferred thriller author stated on repercussions? No. Truth ignores timing. It merely awaits the proper instant to unveil. Ethan perched there extendedly absorbing what he'd grasped. Sophie summoned his name from indoors, but he stayed unresponsive. Ultimately, he regarded me. So, there's no path to mend this. The next day would settle that query, and Ethan wouldn't relish the truth he'd uncover. Thursday night, Ethan made a final, frantic move before an audience. He'd spent hours phoning kin, rallying backing to challenge the testament. His Aunt Caroline journeyed from Des Moines. His cousin Nathan arrived post-work. Even Mrs. Whitaker from next door was summoned to what Ethan termed a family gathering to clear up this confusion. They convened in the lounge at 6 p.m. Ethan had crafted a slideshow on his portable, equipped with graphs and legal notes. "Thanks for attending, everyone," Ethan opened. "We're here because my father's committing a grave error that'll harm our whole clan." Aunt Caroline nodded with empathy. "Henry, we're all concerned for you. This isn't you." "I value your worry," I said, standing by the kitchen entry. Ethan advanced to his initial slide. "Here's the deal. Dad's aiming to donate our family residence to outsiders due to a spat over a miscommunication." 31:42, Sophie sat beside him, affirming with nods. "Henry's been mourning deeply. We believe the garage solitude has clouded his reasoning." "The garage you demanded I sleep in?" I asked softly. "Dad, that was a short-term space fix. You're distorting it into something else." Mrs. Whitaker lifted her hand gently. "Ethan, dear, I witnessed you shifting your father's possessions outside. It didn't seem short-term." Ethan's poise wavered. "Mrs. Whitaker, respectfully, you might have misread the scene." "I doubt that." Cousin Nathan leaned in. "Uncle Henry, Ethan mentions a testament giving the house to charity. That feels drastic." "Your mother set precise terms," I said to Ethan. "Shall I recite them aloud?" "Dad, please. Let's keep family matters private." "Ethan," Aunt Caroline said, "what did you do to distress your father so?" Ethan scanned the room, seeking allies. I offered practical ideas for living setups. I aimed to assist with fiscal choices. I was acting responsibly. I drew out my device. Would all like to hear Ethan's exact phrasing on those practical ideas? Ethan paled. "Dad, don't. This is from March 12th, around 9:15 p.m. I hit play on the audio capture. Ethan's voice echoed. "Rest in the garage, old man. Sophie and I need room. Set up a cot there." Quiet fell. Sophie fidgeted uneasily. "That sounds harsher without context." "More context, then," I said, cueing another clip from March 15th, Ethan's voice again. "Besides, you're used to couch naps anyway. My dad's basically a resident fixer now." Aunt Caroline's face transformed entirely. "Ethan, this was 2 months after your mother passed." "It's not, I didn't mean it so." "Here's my top pick," I said, selecting a clip from March 20th, Ethan's voice, chuckling. "Dead folks don't need trinkets. Dad's too mushy about worthless old junk." Mrs. Whitaker gasped. "Ethan, that's your mother's jewelry." I was aiding finances. I presented the eBay printouts. Ethan listed his mother's betrothal ring for $1,800. The appraisal was $4,200. Cousin Nathan examined the prints. "You sold Aunt Margaret's gems on eBay for quick funds?" I added while claiming I couldn't sustain the house. Ethan rose abruptly. "This is ludicrous. I'm being cornered here." "Sit, Ethan," Aunt Caroline snapped. "We're not done." Sophie tried to shield him. "Ethan's been stressed, managing fiscal duties, handling Henry's sorrow, planning ahead." "What fiscal duties?" I asked. "Well, he's helped with Ethan. How much have you added to household costs since moving in? Ethan glanced around desperately. I grabbed groceries occasionally. How much? Unsure precisely. Maybe $200. I showed my cost ledger. I've spent $1,400 on food since January 25th. You've given $137. That covers 9 days. Mrs. Whitaker shook her head. Ethan, your father left his job to tend your mother. He poured every cent into her health costs. I know, but 733 nights in hospital seats. I went on. 18 months of constant care, $342,000 in expenses. Aunt Caroline eyed Ethan like he was a stranger. And when Margaret passed, you told Henry to sleep in the garage. It wasn't so. It was precisely so, Mrs. Whitaker said sternly. I saw Henry haul his belongings outside while you and your girlfriend revamped Margaret's bedroom. Ethan's face flushed. You all don't get the context. We get it clearly, Cousin Nathan said quietly. Do you? I approached the cabinet and retrieved Margaret's handwritten note. Your mother's final words on this, I said, passing it to Aunt Caroline. She read aloud. If Ethan shows disdain to Henry post my death, if he treats Henry's devotion with scorn, he's proven he doesn't value love over wealth. The room fell silent. Ethan, Aunt Caroline said at last, your mother was correct. Ethan scanned the room once more, seeking any supporter, finding none. This is madness, he said. You're all siding against me on cherry-picked proof. The proof isn't selective, I said softly. It's thorough. What followed would shatter Ethan's reality entirely, and all present would see his ultimate collapse. Friday morning, Ethan's life began unraveling live. It began with a message from Sophie at 7:30 a.m. I'm done. Moving out today. Don't reach out. Ethan found me in the garage brewing coffee on Margaret's old camp stove. Sophie's gone, he said. His tone was empty. I'm sorry to hear. No, you're not. Ethan slumped by my workbench. She said staying with me taints her image. Her friends think she's with someone who mistreats aging parents. I poured coffee into 2 cups, offered him one. Ethan, I'm not aged. I'm 59. That's what I told her. He took the coffee, hands unsteady. She said that worsens it, that I was cruel to my grieving father. Through the kitchen pane, I saw Sophie loading her luxury bags into her friend's car. The bags I'd valued at $8,000. Dad, I need to confess something. I'm listening. Yesterday, post everyone's exit, I phoned work. I shared what's occurring. I waited. Thought maybe Elite Investments could assist. You know, staff support program, legal guidance, something. Ethan sipped shakily. Mr. Davidson asked for details. So, I explained the removal, Mom's testament, the house going to charity, and he asked why you're ousting me. So, I detailed the garage sleep setup, selling Mom's gems to aid finances. I sensed the direction. Dad, Mr. Davidson's mom died of cancer last year. He was her caregiver for 2 years. Ethan's hands shook now. When I mentioned asking you to sleep in the garage 2 months post Mom's death, when I noted calling you a resident fixer, Ethan's voice broke. He called me vile. I see. He said a man who'd mistreat his mourning father doesn't merit managing others' funds. Ethan set down his cup. He sacked me, Dad. Yesterday afternoon, said Elite Investments couldn't retain someone with such flawed character judgment. I'm sorry, Ethan. Are you? Truly. I looked at my son, 29, jobless, no partner, no home, no legacy. Yes, I'm sorry. Sorry you became someone who'd scorn devotion. Ethan wept now. I didn't plan this outcome. What did you plan? I thought you'd move to a smaller place. A modest flat. Maybe find someone new to look after you. Someone new to look after me. Yeah, someone your age. I showed Ethan a file I'd snapped yesterday. Ethan, know what this is? He peered at the screen. Health records. My health records from Mayo Clinic. Ethan froze. December 3rd, 2023. 6 months to 2 years, based on treatment response. What are you saying? I'm saying I have the same cancer that took your mother. Ethan's face blanched. That's impossible. Stage 3 pancreatic cancer. Diagnosed 2 weeks before your mother passed. Why keep it secret? Because your mother requested I didn't. She wanted you to reveal your true self without the weight of my illness. Ethan stared. So when I told you to sleep in the garage, you were instructing your terminally ill father to sleep there while you redecorated the room where his wife died. The coffee cup slipped from Ethan's grip, shattering on the concrete. Dad, I didn't know. Would it have changed things? Ethan couldn't reply. Your mother hoped you'd honor my devotion regardless of my health. She believed you'd respect what I'd done for our kin. But I can make amends. I can tend you now. Ethan, yesterday you called me pitiful before strangers. Said I was emotionally broken, needing expert care. I was upset. You were candid. Ethan surveyed the garage, the collapsible seat I'd slept on, the boxes of his mother's items, the health bills and 14 beige folders. So, what now? I picked up Margaret's thriller novel. Now you have 21 days to find new lodging. Then St. Jude Children's Hospital gains a house, and I spend my final time with those who value devotion. Ethan began to speak, then stopped. He gazed at me for a long moment, then headed to the house. At the entry, he turned. Dad, yes, I'm truly sorry. I know, Ethan, but sorry doesn't alter who you chose to be. 3 months on, I'm penning this from Mercy Hospital's palliative wing. Ethan moved out April 15th, secured a studio across town for $900 monthly. He landed a job at a smaller outfit, 20% less pay, but they'd hire someone with his recent troubles. The house transferred to St. Jude Children's Hospital on May 1st. They've assigned it as interim lodging for families with kids in treatment. Margaret would have cherished that. Ethan visits weekly, brings coffee, sits quietly as I read. We don't dwell on what transpired. Nothing remains to say. Yesterday, he brought a news clipping. A piece on St. Jude expanding family lodging. Our house was named. Mom would be proud, he said softly. Yes, she would. Ethan's learning to cook, to budget on less, to grasp what devotion means. Too late for us, but perhaps not for him to grow better. Mrs. Whitaker drops by often. She shares neighborhood news, photos of families now in our house. A 5-year-old named Lily fights leukemia. Her parents rest in the room where Margaret passed, thankful for a haven amid treatments. The nurses here are kind, reminiscent of Margaret. Patient, tender, centered on what counts. Dr. Adrian Wolfe visits when able. She says Margaret spoke of Ethan constantly in her final weeks, hoping he'd prove her wrong about the testament. She loved him deeply. Dr. Wolfe told me yesterday. She just wished he'd love you the same. I'm at peace with this tale's end. Margaret and I safeguarded something precious. The tenet that love demands devotion and devotion merits respect. Ethan learned that too late for us, but not for his future. Sometimes that's the best hope.